These men were forced to put on orange jumpsuits. They were taken one by one to the beach. As they walked down the beach, they were all 21 of them forced to get down on their knees, and they were told, either deny Jesus Christ or we will end your life. And then they start to go person by person, asking them, will you deny Jesus Christ? And what we're going to look at today is the story of the 21 martyrs who chose to die for Jesus Christ. It was late December of 2014, and these 7 men were driving in northern Africa. And as they were heading home, they saw this roadblock. Now, at this roadblock were men dressed in all black holding assault rifles. So when they got to the roadblock, they were all forced to get out of their car, and they realized extremely quickly that these were ISIS members. And they captured all 7 of them and threw them into a jail cell. Now that these ISIS members knew where they lived, they went back to their houses and found 13 more Christians there. They grabbed all 13 of them, brought them to the same jail cell, and threw them all in there. And so now we have 20 men. But you may have noticed in the title that there was 21 men. Well, the 21st man was named Matthew, and he actually wasn't a Christian. We're not exactly sure how he was captured, but he was thrown in with the other 20 men. And I'll talk more about him later in the story because it's really important to understand him exactly. And so now that they're in captivity, they're held there for a little over 4 weeks. Now, for the first 2 to 3 weeks, it really wasn't that bad for them. The Muslims were really trying to get them to deny Jesus by being nice to them. They were giving them plenty of food. They were giving them clean water. They were offering money. They were offering virgins. They were offering them all these different things, just saying, hey, you can have wealth. You can have all these things. All you have to do is deny Jesus Christ. You don't even have to convert to Islam. All you have to do is deny Jesus. We'll let you go and we'll give you all these things. Now, these 21 men refused to deny Jesus, and this really upset the men. And so they decided that they're going to kick it up a notch, and they started to torture them. Now, this torture started by starving them and then beating them. And when they still would not deny Jesus, they decided to take them all out to the beach. They tied this rope around their waist, and then coming off the end of the rope, they would put heavy sandbags and then force them to walk up and down the beach in the blazing sun. Now, when they would get tired, they would fall over and the beatings would ensue. They would hit them with their gun. They would start kicking them. If they wouldn't get up, they would beat them even more. As they're trying to do this, they kept telling them, look, all you have to do is deny Jesus Christ and we will let you go. This torture ends. All of this ends. You don't have to endure this. Just deny Jesus Christ. You don't even have to convert to Islam. Deny Jesus and we'll let you go. But these men refused to deny Jesus. And there's an account that one night, right before the end, these men were singing songs to God. They were praying to God. And all of a sudden, the ISIS members started to feel the floor shake, and they could tell that something was going on. And so what they decided to do was that it was over and they're going to give them one more chance. And so that morning, everybody wakes up. They take all 21 men and say, we're about to go somewhere. Hand them all orange jumpsuits, force them to dress like prisoners in these orange jumpsuits, bring them to the beach. They perp walk them down the beach, recording all of this. As they're walking down the beach, they make their way to the water's edge, and then they line them up in a line. They get behind them and they push them over, force them to get on their knees. And one of the men behind the one in the center looked dead at the camera and said, this is what happens to Christians. If you will not deny the blood of Christ, we will find you and we will kill you like we're about to kill these men. Now, they gave them one more chance. They weren't just going to behead all of them right then. They said, we will give you one more chance. And they started one by one asking the men, will you deny Jesus Christ? And as they said no, they would end their life. They went one by one down the line, hoping that before they got to the end, people would see what is going to happen to them. And then they would say, okay, I'll deny Jesus Christ. Just don't kill me. But the amazing thing is not a single person denied Jesus Christ. They went down the line one by one. They would say no, they would end their life. Go to the next one. He would say no, they would end his life. Go to the next one. He would say no again, and they would end his life. Now, you remember I told you about this man named Matthew. He wasn't even a Christian when he was captured, but when they got to him, they're like, you don't even believe in their God. You're not even one of them. Will you deny Jesus Christ? You will save your life and you will be okay. He looked them in the face and said, their God is my God, and they ended his life. Now, one of the twisted things that they did was that they video recorded this entire thing. It was a little over a 5-minute video. And in this video, you see every single person losing their life, and you see the blood run into the water, and a very powerful scene ensues where this sea turns to a deep red, and you just see the blood in the waves. Now, once this video surfaced, there was absolute outrage among the Christians, but not just the Christians. Even the Muslims were outraged by this, because this is not what they stand for. But these ISIS members were trying to ensue fear, and in the name of Allah, they were going to cleanse the world. And since these 21 Christians wouldn't deny Jesus Christ, they had to lose their lives. This is more than just a story. But what this is active obedience in the lives of Christians. And if you are watching this today, what I want you to understand is that Jesus Christ is alive and active, and he calls us to complete sacrifice and complete obedience to him. And that means that sometimes the cost of following Jesus will cost us our lives. But in the end, the eternal glory and the eternal reward outweighs anything else that can happen to us on this earth. And we have the power of the Holy Spirit living inside of us to go out and to spread the gospel. And what I want you to see from this is that, yes, they lost their lives, but 10 years later, their story is still being told, and millions of people are being affected by their story, coming to Christ because of what they did. And I want you to understand that your life has so much more meaning and value than just what you do on this earth. But if you will serve Jesus Christ and give your life up for him, he will use it in mighty ways.